I'm Si. Welcome back to my channel, and what a season. Honestly, where do you even start with 25-26 Premier League campaign? Arsenal finally ended a 22-year wait for the Premier League title after being the bridesmaid so many times. Bruno Fernandes broke the all-time Premier League assist record. Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City after 10 years. Mohamed Salah and Robertson say goodbye at Liverpool. Chelsea completely collapse. Manchester United somehow finished third after finishing 15th last year and sacking their manager partway through the season. Sunderland qualify for Europe. This season has been unreal. The quality of football, I think we can question. VAR has been dreadful, definitely, but there's definitely been many talking points. There's been drama, there's been chaos, there's been historic moments, there's been manager sackings, farewell tours, tactical revolutions, and one of the maddest things I've seen in terms of VAR and corners in a long time. So today we're going to break it all down. The biggest stories, the biggest winners, the biggest disasters, the stats, the tactics, the records, and what it means heading into the 26-27 season after the World Cup. This is the story of the Premier League this season. Let's get into it. So let's talk first and foremost with the title race. Arsenal finally got over the line, and we have to start there because after years of being the bridesmaid, after years of being called bottlers, after years of finishing second, Mikel Arteta finally delivered the title, Premier League champions. Now, you can caveat it, as I would love to do, and say, he won the FA Cup with someone else's team and he spent £1 billion just to bring a title, but it doesn't matter. And Arsenal fans won't care about everything that's happened this season. And there's a lot where you could kind of throw a bit of mud at Arsenal. But first and foremost, let's give them credit. 85 points, 26 wins, 5 defeats all season. And unbelievably, only 26 goals conceded. That defensive record is outrageous. Honestly, that's probably what the difference was in the long run. They were able to find that consistency at the back. And this Arsenal side weren't the entertainers that we've seen under previous Arsenal regimes, but they were definitely killers. Efficient, controlled, structured, and relentless. They struggled at times, but they strangled teams all the time. Whether it was Saliba and Gabriel were absolutely monstrous at the back. Declan Rice everywhere in midfield, and I mean literally everywhere. And actually, I thought the turning point for Arsenal getting over the line was moving him back to the 6 rather than staying with I forgot his name, but moving Declan Rice back to the 6 was essential, and that really opened them up and allowed them to then kick on and get over the line finally. Then you got your big signing, Victor Gyökeres. He has taken a lot of criticism this year, but what he did is he gave them something they haven't had for years, and that's 14 league goals, 21 in all competitions. He was physical, he was direct, he was aggressive, and most importantly, he was pretty reliable. Not the superstar, he's not Haaland, he's not this, that, but he did the job they needed him to do, and that's what Arsenal had lacked previously. There's been seasons where they've played and they just had a lot of beautiful football with no killer instinct and no end product. This year they probably didn't have the beautiful football, but they had a bit of edge about them, and I think that in part, at least, is down to Gyökeres. But honestly, the real weapon, we know, it was the set pieces. Like, I genuinely think Arsenal may have become the most dangerous set piece team in Europe, but will they be as effective next year is the question, because I think the Premier League are going to change the rules, but they haven't this year. Corners, free kicks, throw-ins, near post runs, disrupting the keeper, far post overloads, they had it all. It became ridiculous. It was like the NFL, but they knew what they could do and they knew what they could get away with, and they did it well. And that's ultimately what teams will do, is they'll look for what they can get away with, marginal gains, and take it. And Arsenal did that. Teams knew what Arsenal were trying to do, but they couldn't stop it. Mentally, I think this Arsenal side will be different now, because they've got over the line. Those old Arsenal teams which have cracked under pressure, this one didn't. They stumbled, but then when City stumbled, Arsenal smelled blood and they finished it off. The title was effectively won when City dropped points at Bournemouth, or it was mathematically won at Bournemouth. But it was that that West Ham game, getting that win over the line for Arsenal was the one. The goal disallowed obviously is controversial, we know, but Arsenal just did the job. That was the moment, and 22 years of waiting finally over. And look, Miguel Arteta, I'm not his biggest fan, but I think he deserves an enormous amount of credit because modern football rarely gives managers time anymore. Arsenal have trusted the process and they've backed the project, they've backed the manager, they've endured a bit of pain at the start, they've backed him financially, and now they're reaping rewards. They are champions, and they could even be Champions League winners as well if things go their way at the weekend. So, next up, Pep Guardiola leaves Manchester City. And look, whilst Arsenal rose and finally got over the line, and the era ended at Manchester City, Pep Guardiola leaves. And just saying that does sound a bit weird. It's been a decade of him here. The Premier League basically revolved around him in many ways, tactically, culturally, financially, psychologically, and you see his impact on even grassroots teams trying to play out from the back and play this way of football. He's definitely had an impact on English or British football forever. And even, in what people are calling a down year, City still ran Arsenal close. They still won a couple of cup competitions. It's insane, really, the standards that he's set. And even late in the season, City were pretty terrifying going forward. Haaland wins another golden boot with 27 goals. That's 3 golden boots in 4 for him. Ridiculous numbers, really, in it. And Semenyo coming in January was a really clever move. He brought power, pace, direct running and goals. He gave City something different, and they couldn't quite catch Arsenal, but there is an emotional story here with Pep because this feels like the end of a footballing era, at the very least. The positional play revolution, we'll call it, the inverted fullbacks, the high pressing, the control obsession. It's all there. Pep shaped an entire generation of managers. Arteta, Carrick, Maresca, De Zerbi, Brian Barry Murphy, of course. You can literally see Guardiola's fingerprints all over modern football. If this is, I'm sure it'll be his final game for a while. It didn't go to plan with a 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa, who were probably still hungover from their European success in the week. No fairy tale finish for Pep. No scripted ending, just football. And, I don't even want to talk about the Guard of Honour with half an hour to go. I thought that was ridiculous, but whatever. What I will say is this. The timing of it is interesting because he's hung around and he's hung around longer than he's ever stayed anywhere else. But there is really strong rumours that the results of the 115 charges are about to come down. And he did say if they were found guilty, he would leave the next day. So we shall see. Is he getting ahead of it, or is it just a coincidence? Could be just a coincidence. 10 years seems like a right time. But it did feel like he was in the process of transitioning and building a new team this year with a young team. But we'll see, I guess. Good luck to him. I think regardless of what you think of Man City and Pep Guardiola, I think you can understand and you can say that Pep Guardiola is one of the greatest managers in the Premier League history and football history. But is he the best? Not in my opinion, but some people will say he is. But that's okay. It's all subjective. Bruno Fernandes, the greatest creative season ever. And I want to talk about this a little bit. We talked about it the other day a bit with Reece. Like, Roy Keane misquoted him and stuff, seems a bit naughty. And look, Bruno Fernandes, since he's come to the Premier League, has just been outrageous in what have been really poor teams at United, and he just creates and creates and creates. And he's been up there, if you look at his stats, every season he's up there with the very best in Europe for chances created. Even this, like, he's broken the records, 21 assists. But even against, not this weekend, but the game before, the last game at Old Trafford when Casemiro left, he should have had 4 or 5 assists in that game, if not for his teammates not finishing the ball. He could have been way out in front. It's been an outrageous season, and look, it's an all-time Premier League single season assist record, and he deserves it. I understand people will say, set pieces, whatever. Set pieces are part of football. He breaks the record shared by Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne, and to show you how difficult this is to do, when Ozil was on close to do it for Arsenal, they had about, I think, 8 games to go, and Giroud didn't score a goal in the last 8 games because the strikers didn't finish the chances. And that's why it's so difficult to break this record, because you're relying on other people finishing the chances you create. He is in some elite company. And what makes it even crazier is United were 15th last season. They sacked their manager partway through the season. He was playing as a defensive midfielder for half the season, and yet he still broke the record. Amarin got sacked. Carrick came in. The squad looks all over the place, and then somehow Carrick sort of settles them down, starts playing people in the right position, and Bruno drags them to third. Third in the league from 15th is mental. Honestly, though, without Bruno Fernandes, since he's come to United, I'm not sure where they would be. And I certainly think they might have got relegated last year, and I don't think they would have been third this year. Everything goes through him. Every attack, every transition, every moment of creativity comes through him, but every moment of quality goes through him as well. Carrick built his system around him. You don't blame him. It's those half spaces, the late runs, the diagonal switches, the set piece delivery. Bruno Fernandes is a extremely, extremely underrated footballer. And I really believe that if you put him in a previous United team, he wouldn't look out of place. If you put him in Manchester City's team or Arsenal's team over the last few years, they would have won more trophies and scored more goals. It's just one of those. But this season was just outrageous. You know, the next sort of people for chances created are so far behind. I think almost double is the next one like behind, and I think that's Szoboszlai from Liverpool. Absolutely insane. But look, it is what it is. Record breaking assist for him on the final day. Corner, Patrick Dorgo heads it in. 21 assists, history made. And honestly, you can debate whether you weigh where he ranks all time and all this sort of thing. But this season, he's been the most creative footballer in the Premier League, and in a era where it feels like there's not much flair and there's not much off the cuff play. I do enjoy watching him play. He whips out Rabonas and little bits of outside the foot and all these little bits of quality and flair. I like that. I miss that. So good for him. Congratulations. Next up, Sunderland in Europe. Right? Sunderland are in Europe. And I think we need to talk about this, because this is genuinely one of those stories, one of the stories of the season. 7th place, Europa League football, 54 points for Sunderland. Absolutely madness. Reggie Lebrit deserves so much credit. I think he should be manager of the year. I really do, because Sunderland did this without the superstar names, without like spending a billion, without spending 500 million last summer. It was a structure, a discipline, an organisation, a collective belief, and some intelligent signings. They defended brilliantly. They made their home ground absolutely brutal to go to. They started fast at the start of the season. Nice little low block, compact shape, and really aggressive in the transitions. I loved it. They were horrible to play against. And in a league which is obsessed with possession, Sunderland reminded everyone that defending properly is what ultimately matters. They frustrated teams, they dragged games into chaos, and then they punished you with their counter-attacks. Final day was pure cinema, beating Chelsea to get into Europe, while Chelsea simultaneously are denied the European football next year. Brutal. And honestly, I'm really chuffed for Sunderland fans, because I think that gives other fans of championship clubs just that bit of hope that it is possible to go up the leagues despite the financial gap between the sort of big six and the rest. Relegations, financial chaos, years stuck outside the Premier League. They've had it, all of that, and now they will have European football next year. From the people bantering them about that documentary to Europa League. Unbelievable. Football is crazy at times. And then we'll finish up on this. Chelsea. What a disaster. What on earth is going on there? 9th again. No European football again. Another season of chaos. And honestly, at some point, the excuses just run out. You know, João Pedro was brilliant. 15 goals. Excellent movement. Really strong season from him. But structurally, like, Chelsea look broken. Too many players. Don't care. Too many tactical changes. Too many recruitment mistakes. too many managers in one season. There's no identity. And the scary thing is, despite all the spending, all the talent, all the hype, they still don't look like they're on the same page in terms of the team. Chelsea still don't know what they are. And that's an issue. And the symbolism of Sunderland taking that European spot on the final day, I think it almost tells you the story perfectly. The one club with clarity and structure, one club with clarity and structure, and another one just drowning in chaos. Liverpool and Mo Salah. Look, honestly, everyone knows I'm not a massive fan of Liverpool, but it felt a bit seasonal. If Mo Salah has been one of the true great Premier League footballers, one of the true greats, right up there with anybody else. I think this season he has struggled with form, but I also think the drama has kind of followed him. I mean, how many statements have we had from him? It's been bizarre. I'm kind of glad that's all over now, but Liverpool have got some serious, it sounds mad, right? Liverpool got some serious rebuilding to do, but they spent 500 million last year. Personally, I think they need to change the manager, and they need to do it now, not in Christmas next year, because I think, and I'm shocked that they've let Xabi Alonso go over to Chelsea, because that's probably means he'll never go to them now, and I think I really rate Xabi Alonso. So I'm surprised that they've stuck with Slot, but maybe they'll get the benefits of sticking with him, much like Arsenal did with Arteta, but it doesn't feel like it, because it's very difficult to replace someone like Salah. It's very difficult when it feels like your team no longer has the identity and the aura and the fear factor. It's incredibly difficult to change that. But there we go. Little Premier League roundup. Let's quickly look at some of the disasters. Wolves, horrendous. 3 wins all season, 20 points, 11 consecutive defeats at one stage. They were broken. Managerial changes didn't help. The recruitment was failed, to say the least. Confidence disappeared, and it was a problem. They started planning for the Championship in January with Rob Edwards. West Ham going down is massive. I was hoping it was going to be Tottenham. Tottenham barely surviving in the end, but it's one of those stressful survival stories, I guess, in Premier League history. Spurs have gone close now 2 seasons in a row. This was the closest they've come to relegation, only surviving by 2 points. They need to get it right in the summer, because they've got a good manager there in De Zerbi, but you've got to back him. Got to back him. And then now we go into a new chapter in the Premier League. Arsenal champions, Pep's gone, Liverpool with no Salah, United are rebuilding under Carrick, Chelsea have got Xabi Alonso, Sunderland are in Europe, and plus we've got the World Cup coming, which we'll have all the coverage for on this channel. We've got a Scotland preview with John coming a bit later this week, so make sure you check out for that. John's an extremely good analyst. He works with a lot of professional players, so he's going to do the Scottish preview with me, and I'm hoping he's going to join me throughout the World Cup as well. So make sure you check it out. We'll be doing a full World Cup preview as well, breaking it down into the groups, most probably, rather than one big long one, and we'll have a real good tactical deep dive into the World Cup. But yeah, Premier League is done. If you're a Cardiff fan or an EFL fan, make sure you follow Cardiff City World. We've got plenty of videos coming on there every day. And of course, we've got stuff coming on here going into the World Cup. Thank you so much. Keep the faith. Take it easy. Nice one. In a bit. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards, from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.